Greetings, peace be with you. So I want to start this video by asking you a question. What would your life look like if you were able to let go of everything that doesn't serve you? If you were able to let go of the lower emotions like shame, like guilt, like anxiety, like fear, if you were able to let go of the procrastination, of the self-sabotage, of the destructive behavior patterns that hold you back from expressing who you really are, if you were able to let go of the people that hold you back, the people that don't support you, that don't charge you up, that bring you down, who would you be? What would your life look like? Where would you be? And how would you conduct yourself in character? So it's very important that you take a moment to think about this, because if you can conceive of that vision in your head and you can believe in your ability to create it, then it is only a matter of time before you actually achieve it. Now, with that being said, I want to welcome you to the first preview video of the upcoming Monk Mode Challenge. As you can see, I just shaved my head right now, feeling pretty fresh, preparing for the upcoming challenge. And this is going to be 30 days of daily missions, of daily coaching, of daily accountability, and coming together in a community so that we can support each other and level up in getting rid of distraction, getting rid of overwhelm, getting rid of everything that doesn't serve us, so that we can narrow down our focus and really unlock our ultimate productivity, so that we can consciously create a life that we love. Now, the word monk actually comes from the Greek root monakos, which literally means solitary, alone. So this is not a journey in giving you all the answers. This is a journey of self-illumination, of giving you the rituals, routines, and mindset shifts that allow you to tune out the noise and tune into the signal which is within your own heart. So I'm very excited to get started on this, because in this video, I'm going to be sharing with you how monk mode is really the essence of creating transformation in our lives, and how we can hack our brains to love doing hard things. Because as a wise man once said, when you make the hard choices in life, then life becomes easy. When you make the easy choices in life, then life becomes hard. Really think about that, because when we make the hard choices to go to the gym, to choose education over entertainment, to save over spend, to invest rather than splurge, when we make these hard choices in the moment is when we create a future of our glory, right? And we can then relish in our hard work, right? You can do what others won't, so that you can live how others can't. And that is really the essence of monk mode, to give up the short-term pleasures for that long-term gain. Now, by the end of this video, you're going to discover the truth about dopamine detox, and how it's not actually possible, and how we can rewire our dopamine reward system so that we can go on to implement the habits, routines, rituals that allow us to move towards our desired destiny, rather than hold us back from expressing our potential. Because when I got started on this journey of self-development, I actually had my spiritual awakening. Now, what do I mean by this? Because I know that since you're watching this video right now, there is a chance that either you've had a spiritual awakening or you were going through one. But let's just take a moment to get some awareness on what a spiritual awakening even is, so that we can be on the same page over here, right? Like I've mentioned before, words don't have any other meaning than the one that we give to it. So with spiritual awakening, it's very simple. It is the shift from object referral to self-referral. What do I mean by this? I mean that you realize reality for what it really is. You realize that you are not your thoughts, you are not your body, you are not your opinions, you are not your prejudices, you are not your identity. Rather, these are experiences that you are having. Who you really are, the ultimate self, the divine self, is pure consciousness, is absolute reality. And that is really at the essence of every human personality. And of course, these are just words that I'm splurging right now. These are just symbols. This is just air, right? It really comes down to having the spiritual disciplines, to having the daily practice that allows us to experience this, that allows us to live in alignment with this truth as well. Because I remember when I had my spiritual awakening, I realized that I can be more than I am. I realized that I am not my identity. I realized that I can be more, do more, have more, experience more in my life. And it was kind of like swallowing the red pill, waking up in the matrix, realizing my own power. And that took me down the path of reading a lot of books, of consuming a lot of content, of learning from a lot of people who have achieved more than me in my life. And I was reading a lot, I was consuming a lot of information, but eventually it got to the point where I had information overload. I had so much information in my head. And if someone asked me, yo, do you know how to achieve your dreams? Do you know how to be successful? I could have given them the answer straight up. I was like, yeah, just do this, this, and this. But when they looked at my own life, it's like, okay, if you know how to do it, why don't you have those results? And that is really the ultimate dilemma, because we can know what to do. You've been watching the videos, you've been reading the books, you've been educating yourself, you've been elevating your awareness. But when the information in our head does not match the information in our lives, that is when we know there is work to be done. And my purpose in creating the Monk Mode Challenge, which we'll be launching this week, keep an eye out for it, is really to facilitate and close the gap between our intentions, between our vision and our behavior. And that really comes down to having the daily practice, to having the habits that allow us to level up. Because when I got caught up in this cycle of consuming, of getting overwhelmed by all of this information, I got held back from information overload. I didn't take action. I knew I wanted to create a business. I knew I wanted to get myself out there. I knew I wanted to sculpt a strong, capable body. And I knew I was capable of these things. I knew I had the potential to do it. But I would procrastinate. But I would delay. And there's also a whole agenda at play that is really trying to hijack our dopamine reward system, right? The short-term instant gratification from the food, from the pornography. And I was stuck in these negative habits for a long time. Every day I would tell myself, this is going to be the last time that I'm going to bust a nut. This is going to be the last time that I binge on sugar. This is going to be the last time that I skip out on a workout. This is going to be the last time that I engage in this destructive behavior. But then I would maybe follow through with it for a couple of days, maybe a couple of weeks, maybe even a couple of months if I had really had that willpower. But eventually it got to the point where I would sabotage myself and I would fall back to the old habits and routines. I couldn't make a permanent change in myself, and therefore I couldn't create a permanent change in my reality. You have been consuming the content, you know about law of attraction, you know about visualization. But understand that this is really about resonance. In order to create a life that we love, we have to be in resonance with it. We don't attract what we want, we attract what we are. And the essence of monk mode is becoming the person that is worthy of creating a life that we love. And really it starts with getting clarity in terms of what your soul goals are. What is it that you manifested in this physical realm for? Why are you here? What is your authentic path and purpose in your life? These are the areas that we will be exploring in the Monk Mode Challenge, because you already know what to do. You already have it in your head. You already know what habits, what practices, what you are supposed to do. But where the rubber really meets the road is actually doing it. It's actually staying consistent. It's actually showing up every single day. And that is something that I struggled with, because I wasn't clear on the bigger picture. I wasn't clear on what I was here for. And the Monk Mode Challenge is all about getting clarity on these areas. Because once we have that clarity is when we can begin to implement the habits, routines, and rituals on a consistent basis. What really shifted everything for me was a quote. And let me see if you know this quote, okay? Let me see if you know it. Excellence is an art won through training and habituation. We do not act rightly because we have excellence and virtue, but rather we have excellence and virtue because we have acted rightly. We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, therefore, is not an act, but a habit. You know who said this quote? It was Aristotle. And really embodying this is when I realized that it's not about what I want. It's not about what I visualize. It's not about what I write down. It's not about what I say. It is about what I do every single day. And what I do ends up becoming a vote for the type of person that I am becoming. Every single decision that you make is your becoming. And every single moment you are becoming something based on the lens through which you make your decisions. And once I realized this is when I realized this is not just about implementing the tip, the trick, the technique, right? comes down to very simple rituals, routines, and habits that we can do every single day. But once we have clarity on why we're doing them is when we can actually stay consistent with them. And once I found that clarity, once I was able to create that clarity, right? And I don't like using the word found, because finding your clarity is like, yeah, I'm looking for it somewhere outside of myself. But really, it's about creating it by going inwards and seeking that clarity, which comes through the answer of your own heart. So coming back to the point of how we can actually hack our brain to love doing hard things, right? And this is really something I haven't heard anyone talk about before. A lot of people talk about dopamine detox. A lot of people talk about, just refraining from any stimulus coming in, fasting, and all of these things are great. And all of these things are something we will be implementing through the Monk Mode Challenge. But what it really comes down to is an understanding of the energy centers within our body known as chakras. Chakras are called the wheels of life, and they are the energetic centers in our body that represent the nerve ganglia. And the reason that I was caught up in the cycle of destructive habits, even though I knew I was not supposed to do them, is because my energy was trapped in the lower center, more primarily in the sacral chakra, which is related to emotions, which is related to pleasure. And when we are driven towards pleasure and away from pain is when our dopamine reward system gets hacked. The powers that be around us, the big media, the food industry, the pornography industry, they know this, and therefore they hijack our mind by giving us that instant gratification. Understand that the brain that you have right now is very similar. The prefrontal cortex, which is the most evolved part of the brain, is very similar to the prefrontal cortex of human beings like 200,000 years ago. But of course, the environment 200,000 years ago was very different than the environment we live in right now. And therefore, since these industries know this, they are able to play on that cognitive bias, and therefore we go for that pleasure in the moment, even though over time it causes us distress, it causes us damage, and it destroys our well-being. And once we can elevate the energy from our lower sacral chakra towards the higher energy centers, for example, the solar plexus chakra associated with willpower, when you can do the right thing, even though you feel like doing the wrong thing, that is when you elevate to the level of the solar plexus chakra. As you elevate to the level of the heart chakra, you start getting awareness on the neutrality, on nothing being good or bad, right or wrong. You have perspective, and you are able to make objective decisions based on the higher source of love, right? The heart is really the bridge between earth and heaven, between the lower planes of existence and the higher planes of spirituality, right? And spiritual awakening is really about waking up to the reality that we are not human beings having occasional spiritual experiences. We are spiritual beings having occasional human experiences. As we elevate to the level of the throat chakra, we begin expressing our ideas. We begin getting our voices out there, right? That brings the energy center over here. And really it comes through the third eye chakra, the pineal gland. And we begin to form our vision of that future, right? That's why I started this video by saying, what is your vision for the future? What would your life look like if you were able to let go of all the destructive habit patterns? Once you form that vision and you make decisions in alignment with that vision, rather than how you feel, rather than the pleasure, that is when the energy begins centered over here, right? So what describes your level of evolution is where you get your dopamine fix from. Really take this in, because when you get your dopamine fix from the lower chakras is when you are caught up in that cycle of moving towards pleasure and away from pain in the moment. But as you transcend the lower chakras and really begin to integrate it with the higher ones, with the third eye chakra, you have the vision for your future. You know what you are here to do, and you have this ideal that you strive to create in the moment. That is when your energy begins centered over here. And as you the spiritual practices and connect to your crown chakra and really get in touch with that eternal silence that exists within the backdrop of eternity, right? I'm dropping a bunch of big words over here. I don't even know what they mean, to be honest. But that is when you actually begin to hack your brain. Because when you begin to make decisions that are hard in the moment, when you push past that last rep in the gym, even though you don't feel like it, that is when you get the dopamine fix from here, because you are focused on the vision rather than how you feel in the moment. And that really is the secret to elevating your level of consciousness, to elevating your level of awareness, to elevating your situation in life, because you are able to dictate your decisions based on your vision rather than how you feel in the moment. And that really is what it takes to consciously create a life that you love. And the Monk Mode Challenge is 30 days of getting clarity around your vision, around your soul goals, and implementing the simple rituals, routines, and mindset shifts that allow you to consistently, predictably, and reliably get things done so that you can unlock your productivity and move towards creating a life that is on your terms, right? So I'm very excited to get this out to you. I hope that you got value from this video. Now, the second preview video that we're going to be dropping tomorrow is around the real secret to self-discipline, right? Because you know what to do. You know that you have to have this vision. You know that you're going to make the decisions in alignment with that vision. But how can we do that over the long term? What is the real secret to unbreakable willpower? In tomorrow's video, I'm going to be revealing that to you. Okay, so keep an eye out for that as well. But right now, leave a comment below letting me know what has been your number one takeaway from this video. The more that you write it down, the more you engage, the more you reinforce it into your own mind, and the more likely you are to actually implement this information in your life. All right, so leave a comment below right now. I love hearing from you. But with that being said, this has been Mo, and I will catch you in the next video tomorrow. Much love to you. Take care.